fans. We hope you've got your cups filled with some tea because our cup of tea is ready to speak all things women's soccer with you in a surprise appearance. My name is Megan Warner and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Katie Goodman and Harlie Ford. How are you both doing today?
Very good. How are you?
Oh, I'm killing it. I got something to show everybody. This is how my weekend went. I got myself a little trophy with my U13s. I know. A little sip there. It's fine. Yeah, that was a really, really great experience this weekend. I was coaching a U13 and U17 group. The U13s, like they just, those little girls. I wish I knew how to play soccer as well as they did at that age. It is insane what they're doing. And I was so proud of them. We finished second. It was really, really rewarding, and they made me cry. I was so proud of them because like I've been with them since August, and we won our bracket this season. We placed first in our bracket for the entire season, which was really great. And then to finish off everything with this tournament and just seeing how much they've grown and how much they are flourishing as little soccer players, it was just really, really cool. And I got to bring home some hardware. So what a weekend.
Drinking tea in style today.
Yes, trying my best too.
So, as you guys probably know, we don't often put out an evening video except that one time when we were supposed to pre-record and then I messed it up.
The rogue video. Secret drop.
But today we are going to be discussing the NWSL Championship game. So the Washington Spirit beat the Chicago Red Stars 2-1 after extra time in the NWSL Championship game in Louisville, Kentucky. Now, going into this game, neither team had won an NWSL Championship, but both had finished as runners-up. So Washington back in 2016 and Chicago in 2019. So both of these teams had that experience of what it's like to be so close and experience it being taken away from them. So I feel like this added to the occasion of what a great game it was going to be. And both teams also pulled off upsets in the semifinals. The Red Stars beat the top seed Portland Thorns 2-0, and the Spirit beat the second seed Reign 2-1. So going into this game, you knew they were fired up, they are in form, they are ready to finally take that championship. And so it really was a great game that had opportunities at both ends of the field all the way to that final whistle.
Yeah, it was an exciting game from minute 1 to minute 120. It was truly a competition met with the greatest athletes in this country. I am so proud of the result that occurred on that field. It was a great team, and they proved their muster. They had fought so hard to reach that final stage, and I think they provided a show worthy of that. The first goal of the game actually put the Red Stars in the lead. It was right before halftime, and first the Washington Spirit had a great chance as Rodman found herself with some space and fired this rocket into the top of the box. But we had Cassie Miller on her toes all game, and she managed to make this amazing save, keeping them tied at 0-0. And then Erin Wright put in a great cross, and she beat Kelly O'Hara off of it, and they brought it home to give the Red Stars the lead 1-0. So then it was a pretty shocking goal. That was oh man, it was such a well-earned goal there. It was really, really impressive.
Yeah, Wright did a great job on that wing to get that cross off, and it just needed a little nod home, and Rachel Hill was there to do it.
Yes. I mean, both teams just packed with, like we were saying, the best players in the world. In fact, just a little fun fact, Rodman is the daughter of Dennis Rodman. I don't know if you guys knew that. And she was also the youngest player to be drafted into the NWSL, ever.
So, she was a little firecracker in this tournament. She was awesome.
Yeah, I was surprised that she wasn't MVP in that game. But yeah, she's so good.
Oh my God, she's amazing. And then in the 67th minute, the Spirit tied the game up as Andy Sullivan scored a penalty. So Kara McCown drew a foul in the box as Tierna Davidson lunged at a great pass from Rodman and fouled McCown in the process. It wasn't the best penalty by Sullivan when you see it in slow motion.
Oh,
Miller was very,
it was right
No,
there. It just snuck
no,
under her arm.
yeah, but I mean, she was so close to saving it, and she just had enough pace behind it to put the goal in and get her team back on level terms. So I mean, and at the end of 90 minutes, it was all the level and all the game needed to go into extra time. So, and that's how these big championship games end up being, like people are fighting until the very, very final minutes. There is no, all right, we only have 5 minutes left in the game. Like, we're up. People are fighting to the very end on both sides. And so it doesn't surprise me that's what got them into extra time.
Yeah, I kind of love that it went into extra time. Obviously, we all get to watch more soccer when it does, and it is such a testimony to the incredible talent that was displayed in this game. And then just 6 minutes into extra time, Rodman again was involved in this play. She cut inside and put in another great ball, finding the head of Kelly O'Hara, who calmly guided it into the back of the net, and that ended up being the game-winning goal. I mean, what an incredible moment. Like, it was a brilliant goal. Rodman, I'm not surprised she was involved in this, like, causing problems throughout the entire game. And it was a great moment when that went in. But the Red Stars did not give up. Like, the game did not end there. The Red Stars actually called Bledsoe into action right at the end of it. She came up with a huge save. And then, right again, there was two chances where the one where the girl was through on goal, and then the other one where a shot was fired from like well outside the box, and it was always going over, but you can see Bledsoe at full stretch, and if that shot was going into the top corner, she was
there. Like it was covered.
Whoa.
Yeah, no, seeing Aubrey Bledsoe out there was like such a joy. She also used to play for the Pride, so she was a local girl, and I got to see her put some minutes down here in Orlando, and it's really great that she's still with the club and still killing it out there. Like she's genuinely, she's a great human being. I actually have a little bit of like fun merch. I get to bring all kinds of stuff out to show you guys. I have a card signed by her. Look at that. I have an Aubrey Bledsoe card.
So
now a champion for the Washington Spirit. That's amazing.
Heck
and she also she was able to write me this like really wonderful letter, and it's like such an interesting thing to like read this now, because like there's no way this is true now that she's like a champion, and she was able to like bring her team to the finish. She said, thanks for being a fan even when I was a nobody in Orlando. Follow what your heart wants, not what you think it should want or what everyone else wants. Wishing you all the best. God bless, Aubrey. It's pretty great.
I love that. That's such a heartfelt message, and it's so important to hear that at a young age. It is so important.
Yeah.
It's like one of the biggest mistakes we make in our youth is just putting all of our eggs in the basket that people want us to put them in. So, yeah.
No, she's she's a champion on the field, but also like a champion of character. So it's really great to see someone like that get the win. It was really cool.
Yeah. Well, to add a little bit of drama to the mix, because what would the NWSL be without a little bit of drama?
Honestly,
am I right?
Yeah, Katie, you talked about this before the show. It was like someone has tweeted, I think it's Elizabeth Stendhal, we all need t-shirts for surviving the 2021 NWSL season.
Yeah, I survived the 2021 NWSL season. Like, we all need that, because you guys are giving me a stomach ulcer, no doubt. Like,
it's too much.
Just, like, I can't handle it. Yeah. No, there's so many things going on. So we know about all of the coaches that have been fired. We've heard about all of the sexual assault allegations. Well, last night at midnight, Rory Dames announced his resignation right after the NWSL Championship, but it was at midnight. He'd coached for 11 years, and then after taking his team to the championship, he announces his resignation at midnight. Now, maybe had what happened in the past couple of months with the NWSL, maybe had that not happened, we wouldn't be questioning this. But I personally am beginning to question, one, why was it so abrupt? Why couldn't he wait a week? He had no obligations this coming week. After a championship game, people might do PT. They're not going to go right back into training. They're going to give him a break. So why did he need to announce his resignation so abruptly? That's my question. And he had mentioned that he was trying to turn and refocus his attention to family and future endeavors. which is all fair game. All fair game right now. There, so far, nothing has come to the surface. I'm only seeing some stuff on Twitter about some allegations about potentially racism and abuse, things like that. But again, talk is cheap. And so until, maybe we hear it from another more authoritative source, I don't want to jump to conclusions there just yet. But it is, for me personally, really red flaggy to just announce your resignation at midnight. Like, I was in bed at that time, but he's over here like stirring an existential crisis, you know, announcing his resignation. So I
Yeah,
don't
I
know. Like I
wish.
said, a little red flaggy.
Yeah, I'm almost certain we're going to get more information on it in the coming days. I do
Yeah.
hope more than anything that it is like family based, that he is focused on, what he has to do in his personal life. I think it's also a valid insight to have after everything that's happened this season to, question a motivation like that. I think it's
Right.
always, I don't want to, be pessimistic in any way, but especially with everything that has gone on, even with like the Spirit and the Thorns, just making sure that we are holding people accountable and
Right.
not letting things get thrown under the rug with like a quick resignation that happens in the wee hours of the night. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a strange one. I feel like Katie and I were kind of discussing it when the news kind of came out, and obviously, her initial thoughts was the red flag, like everything that's gone on. This is weird. Like, why would you announce at this time? And then on the flip side, I was kind of like, well, like let's, you know, wait and see. You can't jump to conclusions. Although I totally see where you're coming from. After 11 years at a club, it is probably legit that like you would want to have a bit more personal time.
mhm.
After 11 years, you've not quite been able to win that championship, but you have
Yeah.
a team to a championship multiple times. You've done really well. So from that aspect, it's like, okay, like it could be legit. So yeah, we are reporting to you from a neutral standpoint, giving you both sides of the story, all of us remaining just hoping that this is a totally positive thing, but we are aware of what's been happening this season. And if it is like that, we will, of course, be reporting whatever the outcome is to you. And, more news, like Harlie said, is very likely to come out. And I feel like for me, the big reason that my mind went to, let's be mindful of all scenarios, because last 2 weeks ago now, when we were, or maybe it was a week, I'm not sure, last show,
It's all a blur. Yeah.
when we were talking about the PSG story and I was reporting on it and we kind of discussed it on the show, I feel like that maybe we took more of the stance that the media was pushing and saying, like, she's been arrested, she's guilty, all this stuff, kind of like pointing fingers, rather than taking the approach of innocent until proven guilty, let's assess everything. And
Right.
mainstream media we talk about all the time, they love a huge story. And so it is really important that on our cup of tea that we give you that well-rounded perspective, because actually now in the PSG story, she has been released without any charges, and now they're kind of looking and investigating into one of Amraouy's ex-partners. So there's a lot more to the story, and most of you probably haven't heard that, because even us as big followers of women's soccer, we've had to go very much out of our way to get that update.
Yes, and that just brings up the entire topic of what mainstream media shares about women's sports in general. Like, it's, if you look at ESPN FC, they were all over it when the news broke about, a girl fight. But as soon as the water kind of settled or whatever, we haven't heard much from them about it. We haven't heard much from any major media source, and it's just, I think it's times like that that makes me realize we need our own TV network. Like, we need a network for women's sports, where we're not having to compete with men's sports for time slots. We're not having to compete for coverage either. We have our own people, women led, women worked, business making this kind of stuff happen. And I know there's a couple of things in the works with other publications out there, but for us, we can only do as much as we can. We are, as of this moment, with just the three of us running this show. We're only doing what we can to sort through the information, absorb it, give our own opinion, and yes, do our best to be neutral. So.
Yeah.
But with that being said, this is a secondary source.
Unfortunately, we don't have insider information. A lot of the information we get to gather is from external sources. So like we have to go through a secondary tier of information gathering to even be able to report this news to you. And so we have to go with grassroots news sources or blogs or people who are reporting online, or maybe not even like completely verified sources. And it's really difficult to try and, make sure that we are uplifting the most positive stories, or make sure that we are providing the most current information when the most major news sources, like the last time that they reported on the PSG story was 3 weeks ago, and it was talking about how she was arrested, and they have not provided a further update. And we were talking about this before the show, when that information is perpetuated and it has not been like, the clearance of her name has not been disseminated. It's impossible for a player like that to try and redeem her career. Like that is like, it's impossible.
My big thing kind of came in after I was thinking about it, and I was talking to my mom, and I was like, we don't know. There is no official outcome of the story, but if Diallo is innocent and her name has been absolutely dragged through the mud, and how do you kind of recover from that and carry on with a career? It's going to be really difficult. And the fact that there's been no update, like you say, Harlie, like there's been no way to clear her name. Everybody's just left with this thought and impression of her, which could be completely false.
Yeah, right. I do believe that The Athletic followed up with the story, and they actually did get to talk to Diallo, where like she herself was traumatized by the incident, and she's also a victim of what happened. Apparently, like she was pushed against the steering wheel, her hair was pulled. Like, it was not an incident that she was free of harm from. It's just
So that makes me wonder, how did she become the villain? Like,
at
what point did she become the villain? Because I know when people are under a lot of stress, there's a lot of finger pointing. I know, she's African American. Sometimes, racism, that is a thing. That's like a real thing. Profiling, stuff like that. So I'm wondering if she wasn't actually more the victim in this story when you look back on it. So I don't know. It's things like that. All we can do is question, right? All we can do is question and hypothesize until we get more facts. So
yeah, absolutely. And also like a story like that, it clearly impacted the team. Like PSG prior to the incident, they hadn't even conceded a goal in all of their matches. And then they ended up playing against Lyon and they lost 6-1. Like it was, it wasn't just these two players that were involved in this. Like the entire team took a psychological thrashing. Like it was just like, how are you supposed to pull yourself back together like that? That can dismantle an organization entirely. I don't know. It's very frustrating.
Yeah, it's important that we kind of speak about it from this aspect, because of course all of our immediate reactions, and I'm talking like across the globe when this news came out, was like, am I dreaming? Is this a Netflix show? Like, what is this real? And it's kind of like shock, like that drama that humans just have a tendency to feed off, like that, sell stories and all that stuff. Like we know it all. And so when you think about it, like from a much more like, let's take a step back, how does this have an effect on everybody? Like it's really crazy. And I hope that a better depiction comes out to more mass media of how this story has evolved, because people should not be left with the wrong impression if it is.
It has to be so unsettling for the entire team. Imagine leaving practice and not knowing if you might get jumped, no matter who you are. Like, what if people are putting hits on you from other teams and there's no way of tracing? Like, like it's just the fact that there's violence at all in this situation is really, really sad. And I think women's soccer has just taken such a hit this year that, yes, there needs to be a cultural change, but maybe they also need more protection. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they need to be looking into, league-wide investigations just like the NWSL. Maybe they need a hotline just like the NWSL. So I don't think it's out of question by any means. I don't know.
Yeah, I think especially as like the sport continues to grow, like different people are going to get into the game for the wrong motivations, and making sure that everything is up to snuff and you are not, shirking your responsibilities as a league to thoroughly vet everyone who's coming into your program. I think those are like very certain ways to make sure that you're protecting the players and everyone who's within the organization. I mean, I'm certain that it would have helped the NWSL with everything that they're experiencing now if, they had laid the initial groundwork to make sure that everyone in the organization has the right reasons for being there, or is at least like vetted in a way that they have not had a prior history of injuring or harming players or other people. So yeah, definitely there needs to be work done in the WOSO community for sure. And it's just I wish like we could end this year of soccer on like higher notes. I mean, it's great. We just won a championship. It's amazing. Like the NWSL is beautiful. It's wonderful. I'm looking forward to watching all like the Big Ten games with the D1 NCAA stuff and going on, making my bracket. It's just like, I don't know. There definitely needs to be some kind of like reformation, I think.
If they can make it through this, they can probably make it through anything.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
that's
I
kind
hope
of the
so.
silver lining, right? Like if they don't crumble under this pressure, then they should be pretty foolproof moving forward.
Yeah,
So,
that's
and
something
they've made
that
a
I
lot of
did.
changes. Like, they've fired a bunch of people or people left or, even from all the way top down from the NWSL, not just, the board, not just like Lisa Baird. She stepped out long ago. So I think when you see those changes happen, think the actionable steps are occurring. So at least they're not just, brushing it under the rug or saying we're looking into it. Like they're actually doing something about it. So that's the positive.
That's something that I did want to talk about, like the spirit and how they were able to pull out a win for this championship game. Like, and that's something that we've talked about this whole time. Like at the end of it, with how fans were protesting in the stands by not cheering and how that could maybe dishearten the players on the pitch. Like the fact that they were able to rise after like such strife and like be able to put out such a fantastic result, that is so rewarding for those players who have gone through it. Like that is truly amazing for them, and I'm so grateful that they were able to both have that experience and earn such a wonderful win that they were able to share with their teammates. And also I think we had like a cool little fact they did with the trophy that we didn't talk about yet.
Yes, Tori Hester.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, so they drove the trophy down to her, and actually she has it in her possession now. And she had to sit out because of a ankle injury. So her Achilles tendon, she tore it. Am I right? Am I butchering this? Is that correct? Yeah. So she tore her Achilles tendon, but I mean, she's one of those core players on the team who's booked some of the most minutes. She's been on the team the longest, and so she was definitely a core part of that win, even though she wasn't able to participate in the game. So it's really cool to see how they are being so collective, even with the people who weren't able to be there and play the game that day. And I think that's a testament to why they were able to push through and get a win. They were fighting for something bigger than just a win. I think they had stuff to prove to themselves. They had things to prove to other people. They had made it this far. Like, why would they give up then? They made it through the tough stuff. So, I mean, it's just a huge testament to their team. And I think that when you do hard things like that, even as an individual, it really sets the tone for other things that pop up for you in your life. you know, if you can get past that really tough period, if you can show up and make things happen, everything else kind of feels like a piece of cake. So
yeah, and
I'm
Tori
happy
Hoster
for
is
them.
also the president of the NWSL Players Association. So
Oh,
she like
yes.
the fact that they did that was just such like an incredible moment to bring it back to her after everything that she has been doing and is doing and will continue to do in the future. And yeah, it's nice that we can end on that positive note because the
Yes.
NWSL season, while there has been a lot of drama, the quality of soccer has been unreal. The championship game was incredible. Like back and forth stuff, everything you want in that final game of the season. So we're so grateful that, you know, Red Stars and Spirit just brought an incredible game for us all to enjoy. People across the world watching this game. Like,
Yes.
I love that about women's soccer, that it's now everywhere and everybody wants to join in and watch the game, and the talent is so good. So we will finish on that positive note, and we hope that you all did enjoy the game. And thank you for joining us on our little pop-up episode that we're giving you tonight.
Surprise cup of tea.
Surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. I love it. Surprise cup of tea.
As always, big shout out to Jonathan Ward, UWS, and UWS2 for helping us bring this show dedicated to women's soccer to your screens. And as always, subscribe to our YouTube, follow us all on Twitter, and stay up to date with WOSO.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.